Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a 1998 Toyota Chaser Tourer V. That's the rear-wheel drive, 5-speed manual transmission, 1JZ, single turbo version of the 1JZ. Inline 6-cylinder, excellent car. We do have Japanese summer, and so in this video you're going to hear the cicada, which in Japanese is called semi, and they're making a loud noise. I'm sorry you're going to hear that until kind of mid-September on these videos. Anyway, this is going to be a purchase inspection video of this car, which was bought from auction here in Japan. We're going to be sending this one over to Tacoma in the USA, and not a ton of JZX100s heading over there because mostly the big price for them. These things are insanely expensive, have quadrupled in price since we started this company 15 years ago. And so they are amazing cars. There really is nothing like them. This one is quite a good car. It needs a little bit of restorations here or there, but overall I'm quite satisfied with it. I think it looks good. When we bought it, the car was lowered, but we had to have a shop lift it up just to transport it to us because it was really incredibly low. And that front lip is still fairly low to the ground, and so clearance would have been an issue on the transport company's truck. There's 17-inch wheels on here. No doubt they had a snazzier wheel on beforehand, and then they just swapped to these in order to sell the vehicle. And I think they might be a little bit on the small side circumference-wise. And so when they swapped it, it ended up lowering the car even more. So it was like unusably low. So had to pay to get that lifted up. Anyways, the 1JZ, maybe my all-time favorite engine at the moment. Maybe not even at the moment. These things are just so good to drive. I'm not a huge fan of tuning more power out of your engine. I find usually it's a lot of money being thrown at it to make a worse feeling engine. That's not always the case, but I feel like if I were to modify something, I would have to be very, very careful not to ruin the original character of the engine. It's like plastic surgery. You can technically improve a face, but at the same time, you're also taking away what was the main character of that face in the first place. And so I feel the same way about tuning. And just the stock version of this engine and anything that it's in is just fantastic. I love it so much. And that's part of the reason why people want them so much. Not only because the engine is great, but because it's reliable, and you can go drifting in these, and it takes longer to use up a JZX100 than any other car. This has to do with the mechanics of it, has to do with the crash integrity of it, and I guess parts availability, which is nowadays running out, sadly. So oil is fine on this one. The coolant is fine on this one. Has a bunch of history. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 history stickers in here. Came with a book. I gotta show you this. This is really cool. Came with a book of history. Inside here, look how thick this is. Of all sorts of things, like every time the registration inspection was done, modifications that have been done to it, it's all been put into a clear file here. And so you can kind of check the details. Look at this. Toms under strut bushings and bracing. Cool. And then here's your Tom's sticker here if you want to put that into your car. More undercar bracing, strut tower brace by Tom's. Rigid collars actually makes a big difference. Now the car doesn't quite run perfectly, so it does have some little niggles to work out. Right when you start it up, it misfires for probably about 10 seconds or so, only at low RPM. So it's having some sort of a electrical issue with not giving enough spark. Potentially, I don't actually know because I haven't looked over the car in very much detail, but I have seen it on a number of these cars, and then they drive perfectly fine, and then on cold start, they act up a little bit again. Unfortunately, I have found these to be fairly finicky electronically, especially things with ignition. And some of the ignition parts, like this bad boy here, you can't get anymore. You have to rebuild them. So there is that. Anyway, let's close the hood here. Quick look at the car. Pay extra attention at the front end. It is beastly looking, especially with that extra grille piece in there. Very cool. And then this one has had a full repaint in the original dark green color, which is close to black, but still is green. here's the inspection sheet. Let's translate it for you. It's a 1998 Chaser Tourer V. The Tourer V is the turbo, the S is the non-turbo. Octane grade R, interior C, and that seems about right. It has been in an accident, and the interior is kind of mid. Not irreparable. Mostly it's just the seat and the steering wheel, which can both be replaced. These aren't original seats in this car. So power steering, power windows, 171,030 kilometers. That's known mileage. 5-speed manual. Aero parts, 5-speed manual. Kakimoto brand exhaust. Lowered, well, not anymore. BBS wheels. Toll collection box, Momo steering wheel. Purchase from user. Okay, so front end accident. And the front end accident says it's the right baffle and the right front inner panel dented. Here's the left side. Left is a smidge off. Right side, a smidge off. It's really not too bad. If it's just the baffle and the inner plant panel that were repaired and they weren't replaced, I wouldn't consider it to be a huge accident. This isn't a salvage title, what a lot of people think that an R grade means. It just means that the car was in an accident that required some sort of damage. It wasn't even big enough to replace the fender or the hood. And so it was a small enough accident you could actually just repair any damage on the fender or hood. Probably even the fender and hood didn't even get hit. It probably just pushed right there a bit. And so, yeah, that's just how the R grade works here in Japan. It says TRC off lamp is on. Aftermarket air filter. Seat has a cigarette burn and is ripped. Front seats are aftermarket. Steering wheel peeling. Trim is ripped. Underside scratched, dented, and one part painted on top of surface rust. Underside dirty, just slightly. I'm sorry, interior dirty slightly. Very small scratches, small dents, and that's it. We have W2 here, W2 here, W2 here. That's all repainted sections. So the whole body's been repainted. Mostly it's good. The roof has actually been done pretty poorly. So I will show you that amongst the other damages. So let's now take a look at the body. We'll start with the once around so you can see it from all the different angles. I really think it's a very classic, good looking design. It's very similar to, I guess, an E39 5 Series, which is many people considered to be the best that the 5 Series ever looked. I guess it depends on what you think and what your opinion is, but love the design, and you really don't see this shape anymore. This is the 3-box shape with the iconic tail lights. It's funny, the Skyline was the first car to really get people's attention as the forbidden fruit. And people still love the Skyline, and don't get me wrong, Skylines are fantastic, but I think a bunch of people consider this one to be a little bit of a deeper cut. Like, fewer people know about the Chaser, also known as the Mark II, also known as the Cresta in different trim versions. It is, in my opinion, a better quality vehicle than the Skyline, but it isn't as much of a, you know, sporty car or an in-your-face car. But it is higher quality. I think a good trade-off. This is a different type of car, but absolutely, like, I could see somebody that wants to have something like this for commuting, and then a Skyline or a Silvia or something like that for driving a little bit faster. Nice fast car, can make it faster if you want, but more like your commuter car. It's got lots of room in it, front seats, rear seats, lots of room, lots of trunk space. You could absolutely daily something like this. You can get the automatic transmission version, one turbo or unturbo. You could actually get a 4-wheel drive version of this. I know it's a little bit rarer, but they do make one. Not with the turbo engine, mind you. Okay, this aftermarket grille, Skyline inspired. It's pretty cool, I must say. And then headlights, look how clear and clean those are. And then usually when you see a front bumper that is this low to the ground, you're going to see cracks in it, rock chips, and other damage, maybe drift repair stitches and stuff like that, all pretty common. Here you do see a little bit of where the paint on the original section of the bumper has been damaged by this, I guess, bottoming out and moving a bit. And you'll probably have the same thing on the other side, which you do. They haven't done the fin cut. So the original part of the bumper, lip, right? So some people will cut these fins out to give it a more aggressive front end. Obviously, if it is your car, you can do that. In terms of damages, we do have a few little chips in the grille in there. No big deal. Oh wow, look how bright that is. No fade at all on that headlight. And then we don't really have any damage anywhere else on the car except for... Where was that? Right here. See that? A little paint blemish there. But as far as side panels go, you can see that wave is generally not too bad. The roof, on the other hand, not so good. Trunk's okay. Roof, though, lots and lots of orange peel. It's like they almost forgot about it. Now, it probably doesn't look as bad in video than it does in real life. But, there you go. Now you know. Okay, we don't really have much to talk about for the exterior. Oh, I remember this. There is a part of the lip here that has come off, right? And there's your Kakimoto exhaust. And the rest is all looking good. Now I'm going to pop the trunk so we can start the interior. Interior check. And I'm always amazed by how much space they got in this trunk. It's very usable because the trunk is very long here, unlike a lot of modern cars. It's like nowadays you can still in BMW and Mercedes-Benz kind of get this 3-box design, but the trunk is always like this big. And then the back window comes back really far for style reasons, and then it's a little bit like the opening is a bit deep this way, but very shallow this way. This one makes it a lot easier. You can drop stuff right in there, no problem at all. A full-size spare tire is also in there. And then space from there to there, like, that's like 175 centimeters, which is, what, nearly 6 feet? 5.5 feet? Okay. There's a minor dent in the back here. I don't think it's even really worth pointing out because it is minor. And then there's some like delamination here on the original tint. And then the B-pillars have been rewrapped in this almost like Louis Vuitton looking stuff. I can get where they were coming from. Not really my jam. The central locking is broken. I have seen it before on this car. I don't know if I would call it a common problem. I've seen it a few times. Don't know if it's common. Haven't seen it too much. A little bit of damage, like a car seat pushed into there at some point. Okay, especially with the aftermarket seats in there, you get plenty of leg room. And those are Recaro seats, by the way. Very comfortable seats. They did not skimp like Nissan would have. I'm sorry, that's a pot shot to Nissan, but it is true. I feel like these Chasers are closer to, excuse me, closer to a Lexus quality than they are a Toyota quality. They kind of are a Lexus, right? The JZX100 platform is very similar to the Crown platform, which is what they based all of the Lexuses except for the LS on. So I'm sorry, not all of them, but the GS was based on the Crown platform, and this is a very close derivative of that platform. Okay, so there is some damage on this. It looks like some separation between the resin and whatever woven material that they use. And it's not just plastic that looks like a woven material. That's a real weave in there. So while it's not carbon fiber, it's still something that's woven. And that motif continues on through here and around the shifter and around the faceplate there. Looks nice. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Here's the interior. Really good to drive these. Just like, I want to go sit in there and drive right now. I can't. I want to though. The seat, I have never seen this pattern for a Recaro seat, and I adore it. It's like a business suit with pinstriping on it. It's like gentlemanly. Now it is a little bit saggy here, and there's a cigarette burn there, which is weird because I don't think the car's otherwise been smoked in. The ashtray is clean, the cigarette lighter's never been used, and there's no hint of cigarette smell, so maybe there already was a cigarette burn on that before they put it into the car. And then there is a bit of a rip over here. Now they said a rip in a liner Usually a liner is this section here, and I couldn't really find a rip. Likewise, like the other one, there is a little bit of wear, but I didn't find any rips. Excuse me. Steering wheel is done. Needs to be replaced. A steering wheel is $200. Not a big deal. And the seats, you can ride them for a while, then you can choose something else if you want. Seats, again, can be replaced. Since it's not the original ones, you don't have to feel bad about getting rid of these ones. Fairly dirty in the carpets, needs to be cleaned. Chaser. Kind of a weird name. It's like, we chase others. We aren't the leaders, we are the followers. That said, that you kind of are the leader. Come in here, and we have a multi-display. Let's plug this in. So, regular orange gauges, a little bit dated, but whatever. Boost gauge, and a Comtech 0 series. Swing vents, look at that, a little button in the center. You press that, and your vents are going to swing around back and forth like an oscillating fan. Toyota did that in a bunch of their cars, from the Crowns of the 1980s until, I don't even know, maybe they still do it. I love it though. I don't want to use it, but I love it. Okay, AC works fine. Whatever these are, it seems like this one's malfunctioning. It is definitely not 115 degrees Celsius, whatever that is trying to pick up. Shift knob's pretty good. It's clean and nice in here. A few things like a rip here, steering wheel, seats need to be replaced potentially. I'm liking it though. Dashboard deformation by the airbag. It's not to say that the airbag went off. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But the deformation in these cars is very common. Even 15 years ago when we first started exporting, you would see it come up along here, which you can a little bit here, but it would peel up and then it exposes the orange foam underneath. This one is definitely not too far gone. So, interior needs a few things. Exterior, I don't know if you can live with that paint on the roof. The exterior is pretty decent. Lower it down, get some nice wheels, and do a little bit of tuning up. I think you've got yourself a really good car. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.